Hello! Okay guys, we have Joe here with us today at WION, or WION. Joe has joined us all the way from London to train our correspondents and foreign journalists on working in hostile environments. As we are a global channel, we'll be exploring and reporting from hostile environments from all over the world. So Joe has joined us to train. So I'll let him actually talk and tell us more about it. So Joe, basically give us a little bit. I was thinking maybe we start with a journalist's life. What are the dangers a journalist faces on a daily basis?
Yeah, so WION brought me in to talk to your foreign correspondents about how to stay safe when they're working out and about. That could be in downtown Delhi, or that could be when they're on assignment somewhere in the Middle East or Asia. On a day-to-day basis, journalists can face threats ranging from mundane, ranging from you're in a remote environment and you've got toothache. What do you do? That's going to affect you in the field. If you have a toothache, it's pretty freaking painful at times. So is it, you've got enough medication with you to deal with that? Where can you get your toothache fixed? All the way through to working in an environment that is dangerous to life. So let's say you're moving with Iraqi forces towards Fallujah right now, and there are bombs and bullets flying around. Also, journalists can face a whole range of dangers, from the mundane health all the way through to the bombs and bullets of full-out war, down to being as well targeted because of who you are. Journalists all over the world get targeted, particularly local journalists working, let's say, out of Syria. They can be targeted because they're talking about ISIS, or they're talking about the regime, the government regimes. They can be targeted by those organisations or by the state. They face a whole range of threats.
All over. So how long have you been doing these trainings, and what's kind of your background?
So I'm ex-military, and I've worked with journalists for the last sort of 10 years in all over the world. Some quite interesting and hairy places.
Okay, such as? Can you give us some countries?
Absolutely, yes. I've just got back from Afghanistan. Before that I was in the Ivory Coast, in Mali as well. But I've worked all over the Middle East, all over Asia.
That's cool. And this you've been doing since what? Since when?
Last 10 years.
10 years. Oh wow, cool. Guys, I haven't been paying attention to the questions. You guys can actually ask questions. We see that we have about 6-7 people joining us. So feel free to give your questions or shout it out here, and we'll read it out to Joe. Did you say 7 years? For the past 7 years? Around that? Right?
Last 10 years.
10 years. Okay, wow. And what inspires you to...
Working with journalists is exciting. You guys who care about the story. Obviously, every journalistic organisation is different, and every journalist is different. You guys typically really care about the environment you're going into, and so if it's refugees, you actually care about the plight of the refugees. So it's really interesting stories to follow. So I'm there to get up at your back, I'm there to look after you. Obviously, I get quite involved with the stories too. So it's an interesting job. It's an interesting line of work. We see history change as well. Most of the world's conflicts in the last 10 years, and I've seen presidents, prime ministers come and go. I've seen regimes fall. So it's quite fascinating to work with you guys. And typically, if I'm brought in to look after you, it tends to be quite a dramatic situation anyway.
Right.
So yeah, it's got an interesting line of work.
And what other organizations have you worked with?
I work for a whole range of multimedia, also media organizations. I'm probably not going to say who it is.
Okay, you don't want to mention the names.
I tend to work with TV.
Okay, it's related with television, media, and all of that stuff.
Absolutely, of course.
Wow. And have you ever kind of been in such situations where you had to kind of go in there and save lives or coordinate or anything like that?
It's not really like the movies. You don't really
exactly.
Down the front row through a window. But you're there to, first of all, to prevent. Prevent anybody from getting in danger in the first place. As you know from the training you've just gone through, it's all about prevention and planning. So first of all, we don't go into the danger zone if we don't have to. What is the point of going in there? And then if we are in an area it's quite dangerous, and something goes wrong, how do we deal with that?
Nice.
Situation. It's quite important.
So I have a question here. Is one person asking, how difficult is war reporting?
Well, you need to ask the journalist there.
Well, now you're in front of the camera, you answer.
So working with, I'm not a journalist,
but
but working with journalists, of course, from a personal point of view, journalists are away from their friends and family and their natural environment often for months on end, sometimes for years if it's a long-term like Afghanistan or Iraq wars. and in conditions where they can be living in bombed out buildings. They can be living with the local troops. They can be embedded with the local troops, living in a tent. So really quite harsh conditions. And particularly, actually, for a journalist, you're not typically from a military background, so you won't have gone through any training. So then to go from what is university, likely, bureau, local reporter, let's say in Delhi, and then you're pushed out into a hostile environment like Iraq, classic example, where it's quite dusty, very, very hot, you need to be fit, you've got body armour on, you've got a helmet on, your camera, all that sort of stuff. It can be really tough for journalists.
Wow, okay. And you've seen good journalists kind of embracing that, or like as a first timer, when a journalist does really face all that stuff, how do they feel? And have you ever spoken to these journalists where, like, what happens as a first time they've gone from their desk into a war zone? Can you share an example of how you got out of a tough situation in the field? Somebody's asking, can you give an example? So I had to ask a question, but we'll take theirs first. They're saying, can you give us an example of how a journalist escaped from a tough situation on the field?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So a good example might be working with a media crew, film crew in Libya, and we came under fire. And the best way to get out of that situation, we were in a car at the time, was just to drive quickly out of that situation.
Okay. Zafar, sorry, I have the phone. Zafar said, I'm a person here, mention my name if I'm asking a question. One of the question people ask. So Zafar, sorry, the phone is upside down actually, horizontally, so I have to kind of tilt. I know, right? I have to tilt my head. I know, to see how I have to tilt my head to be able to answer this. So I didn't actually hear because I was thinking of asking his question. So you're saying you had getting out of a tough situation. You gave an example.
Yeah. So I mean, a classic example was in Libya when we came under fire. Driving in a car and got ambushed. And if you're in a car and you get ambushed, the best thing to do really is to drive out of that area. Okay. Killing zone. So that would be a good example.
Right.
Drive out of that situation.
Right, and sometimes people may get stuck between these situations, right? If you're in the war zone, you have this side or that side. How do you make a decision? Which side do you choose is the safest or something? Let's say you're between...
Well, as a journalist, you're not going to take sides, right? So you're unbiased reporting. So actually, there isn't a side for a journalist in the conflict. You're there just to report, obviously.
No, what I'm saying in terms of if you have to escape. Let's say you're like right in the middle of a war zone, fight breaks out. Do you have to choose which side do you go to stay the safest, or?
Better just keeping your head down to the phone's finished, eh? If you go towards either side, you could be perceived as what is an enemy? What is an enemy look like? Particularly if it's dark. So I don't have a really great answer for that. I would suggest that it's in your planning and your preparation, so that before you've actually got into a conflict zone, you know your escape routes, you know how to get out.
Okay.
So that's what proper training.
The training could be preventive, sort of, before you get. Nice. Wow, that's a pretty cool. And usually most major. What about when a guard is firing on your Jeep, unprovoked, just because he wants a lift? Okay, it says, what about someone just shoots at your thing on the face is not showing? The what? Sorry, our production. Oh, it's not lit enough. Oh, nice. They're gonna put, you see, we have awesome people who are gonna put a light here. We're just putting a light on and you want to leave us? You can't. So someone is saying.
I have an appointment in about 5 minutes, so you got 5 minutes.
All right, 5 minutes is good. So they were asking, what if you're like in a war zone? I think Kunduz, Afghanistan, is what they were mentioning, and someone starts firing at you because they want a lift. As a reporter, do you? They want a lift.
Like a carrier.
Yeah, they want a lift. I think.
Give them a lift, I suppose. Are you in an armoured vehicle? Is it a normal car? Where if they're shooting at it, the bullets will go through the door. If you give them a lift, are they going to take you? Are they going to drive you into like a favela or into a dangerous area? I don't really want to give anybody a lift who I don't know and I don't trust. If they are pointing a gun at you, and the gun's quite close to you, then yeah, you're probably going to have to sort of say, okay, how can I help you? But that really brings a point. What price? Your life, so why don't you give them the car?
I guess the question most of these people are asking, how do you make decisions? Someone asked, by the way, before that, someone asked, Thank you. That was actually good. Now you're lit. Someone was asking the question. I think being asked here is, how do you make decisions, hard decisions, in those sort of tough situations? I think that's what.
Yeah, that's a good.
That's a good question, right?
It's a very good question. Well put together, and it's very key actually. It is in your. Again, it does come back to planning and preparation. And so before you've gone into a conflict zone, you'll have a good idea of the risks, and you'll have a good idea of how to mitigate those risks. And so that will inform your quick decision making, your snap decision making, if in the event of an ambush. You already know that if you quickly turn the car around, there is let's say help 5 miles down the road. You've got a good idea of what to do because that's in your planning and preparation. But also experience is tough to beat. You've been in that situation before. You know that if you wind the windows down, you can hear the sounds of battle, you know where to avoid because you can hear the gunfire. So that's experience. That's what you need to go on the ground to understand.
Wow.
It's tough to teach that.
It's tough to teach.
It's tough to teach.
Somebody wanted to see The Office. I'm going to show you guys The Office. You've been here, Jeff, for the past... I apologize that I'm calling someone and not by you guys' name because it's tough to remember. I guess we're using the word tough. Did it happen when you... Did it happen with you, Mr. Gandhi? So this is not Mr. Gandhi, this is Jeff who we're speaking with. Somebody thought that's Mr. Gandhi, or maybe I'm Mr. Gandhi. Yeah, these tough decisions in life, right? When you're in that life and death situation, it's pretty hard to take those decisions. I'm just kind of reflecting, And do people usually make illogical decisions when faced?
They can. Everybody's human, so it could be that you're a really experienced senior correspondent and you've been into Gaza, been into Iraq, you've spent the last 10 years in war zones, and you've got a bad day. Families, maybe they get a divorce, issues with the children, that sort of thing. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
And you're just having a bad day, bad decisions happen. That's really where it really helps when you've got a good team around you to help guide you. So that if one of you is sort of feeling weak on that day, they can potentially help you. It's all about the team. Working as a medium is all about the team.
As a team, okay.
Absolutely. I look around at WION, absolutely sort of really good team. Totally sort of gelling together. Young, fresh, dynamic, really good team. I'm looking forward to working with you guys in the future.
Nice. We're glad to hear that. Thank you. Thanks for being with us. So I want to be respectful of your time. I know you got to get to your next appointment. What is next appointment? To run around Noida?
Yeah, so part of security is to understand the area that you're in. And the way I do that is I go for a run and I check it out. So it's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to run around Noida. Well, I can't tell you exactly where because that would be bad security.
That's really good. Thanks a lot, Jeff, for being with us. That was a great note to end it with. Now I need to figure out how to stop this. I think I know. Thanks a lot.
Cool.
Now we have road coming up.
Okay. That's all.